At long last, we finally have the contract details for all the Cowboys signings and re-signings with minimal disagreements with how some of the reporting has been done on those guys. There's one I'll break down, but as we sit right now as of filming on Thursday afternoon, the Cowboys have 74 players under contract. They have around $35 million in cap space. There's some slight discrepancies with really most how you're counting per game bonuses, which are sometimes like the and sometimes not. But it's 35 is the number to kind of round to. And remember, any unused salary cap space will roll over, which the Cowboys might elect to do. They've got 10 draft picks as well. That leaves 6 roster spots before cuts potentially happen. So will the Cowboys sign anyone else before the NFL draft? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show, and we'll break down all of the contracts here. First up is Osa Odighizuwa. We've kind of went down with this one in depth. 4 years, $80 million, $52 million guaranteed. There's $13 million as part of the $52 million in 2027 that is guaranteed on the 5th day of the new league year, but is injury guaranteed right now. Here is how the contract breaks down. Cap hits right now on the left side, dead money on the right side if you were to cut that player before June 1st. Just $6 million this year, 20.75. There's also void years from 2029 to 2031, so you would expect the Cowboys restructure that deal in 2026, bring down the cap hit, keep pushing money off into the future, and then they'd still be in a decision-making time and potentially able to still cut Osa if they wanted to in 2027. But they've got some flexibility, really into 2028 more likely probably, with the way that deal is set up. Given the Milton Williams one, ended up being pretty team-friendly in the end. Let's go to the outside signings, some of them. Javonte Williams, 1 year, $3 million deal with conflicting guaranteed amount information. There is $500K also as part of this contract in what are called not likely to be earned incentives, almost always tied into Cowboys make the playoffs and player sets up big year on the ground with rushing yards. You know, Zeke had the 10 touchdowns as incentives last year. They're not likely to be earned, so as a result, they don't count on the salary cap, and if they hit them, then it does count. The guaranteed amount is what is inconsistent here. Spotrac has $1 million. Over the cap has $2 million. Todd Archer said 2.5. I would think over the cap ends up being right. Maybe there was, they get the contracts pretty in depth. So I would think the over the cap number ends up being the case. In the end, I think Javonte makes this team. It's 1 year, $3 million. It's pretty cheap. Let's go to Miles Sanders' contract then. 1 year, round up and say $2 million. Now that is reportedly fully guaranteed, by the way. And as you'll see with other players, this is a veteran salary benefit deal, which means the cap number stays lower than what the player actually makes in cash. The Cowboys love doing these deals. He makes about 1.34 in cash if he makes the team for the entire year, but the cap hit is only 1.19, 1.2. Now, it is allegedly fully guaranteed, but at a little over $1 million, you could still cut that player if you wanted to. I don't think there is a guarantee, depending on how the draft plays out, that both Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders make this team's roster. So what do you think ends up happening? Do they both make the team? Chance, not guaranteed, I think. Maybe even more likely, but what do you think happens? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. It is the pinned comment, by the way. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Robert Jones' contract now. 1 year, $3.75 million. There's $3 million guaranteed. Means he'll almost certainly make this roster. And $1 million in not likely to be earned incentives. That is backup guard money. Kavontae Turpin, not nearly as high as what had been initially tweeted out, which is what always happens in the end. 3 years, $13.5 million deal. There's $5 million guaranteed. That is it. And $4.5 million. And again, not likely to be earned incentives. We'll break those down in a second. Here's how the contract plays out. Right now, he's got a $3.1 million cap hit. You cut him right now, you eat 5. You're not going to cut him, obviously. Next year, just $4.7 million cap hit. You would eat 2.4 if you cut him. And in 2027, it's 5.7 but with just $1.2 million in dead money. This is not a contract that is indicative of Turpin suddenly becoming this team's wide receiver too. This is just still high-end, not record-setting though, special teams money, which might be more important if the NFL changes the return rules like they're considering with moving the start line to the 35 instead of the 30. The incentives here. And by the way, all of these require the Cowboys to make the playoffs each year. 500 yards, he gets $250K. 700 yards, he gets $500K. 900 yards, gets $750,000 million. And then it's the same scaling numbers there: 40 catches, 50 catches, 60 catches, all of which are not likely to be earned because he has never hit those figures. He was at 31 for 420 last year, and then was at 44 for 556 for his entire career. The other receiver was Parris Campbell, and this was the one I waited 10 days for this damn contract to be exactly what I thought it was going to be. 1 year, $1.34 in cash, but it's a salary benefit deal, so it's just $1.2 million cap hit, less than $175,000 guaranteed. This is what we kind of call a low risk, but might just end up being a camp body signing. You have not promised him anything, and it would not be a surprise at all if he ends up getting cut. In fact, I think he does get cut. I don't think he makes this team. So name a player who you think ends up getting cut. Parris Campbell or anybody. It doesn't have to be a signing. It could be any player. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. In one of the largest outside free agent signings in a decade, and it actually is the largest outside signing in a decade. It matches that figure. Dante Fowler got 1 year, $6 million, $5 million of which is guaranteed. There's some per game roster bonuses. $2 million via incentives if he gets to 11 sacks, which I don't think he does, but you'd probably happily pay him the $2 million if he got to that 11 sack figure. So it's not the 1 year 8 that was reported. It's really 1 year 6. It's a good value though for Fowler. Peyton Turner, 1 year, $2.5 million. Got $2 million guaranteed, and there's $250K in per game active roster bonuses as well. Again, it's a very cheap contract there for Peyton Turner. Should make the team, but if he's terrible, you could cut him. None of these guys are making enough money outside of a couple of the multi-year deals or Dante Fowler that you go, oh, we have to keep him. You probably will keep him, but it's not like a full-on roster lock in the case of Peyton Turner. But he should make it. Solomon Thomas pretty much will make it. 2 years, $6 million. He's got $3 million guaranteed, plus an additional $1 million. And again, my favorite phrase, not likely to be earned incentives. His cap hit is a meager $2.72 million. The reason why it's weird rounding, he didn't play every game, so you're not quite getting the full per game roster bonus counting on the cap right now. If he plays all those games, it just gets pulled out of next year's and it evens out in the end. Or if he doesn't play, you get even more back. Dead money, $3 million, so you probably are not going to cut him. The cap hit, though, next year is 3.25 with almost zero dead money. So 1 year for sure, and then we'll see how he plays. All right, the punter, Brian Anger. 2 years, $6.4 million with $3.3 million guaranteed. It's a $2.3 million cap hit this year, $4.1 million cap hit next year. Again, not very expensive. The long snapper, 3 years, $4.45. That's Trent Sieg. $3.11 million guaranteed, but that does account for $1.3 million in 2026 salary that is guaranteed for injury now. If he's healthy, you could cut him in 2026 and only have 366 and change in dead money. So you wouldn't actually have to eat that much if you cut him and he was healthy after this year. Honestly, this is just like a little bit more than the vet minimum for someone of his age. That's all it is. Now, we will have more Cowboys news for you. Updates, extensions, re-signings, draft coverage. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. Let's go to Markquese Bell. Also not nearly as expensive as had been first reported. It's 3 years, $9 million. There's $6.2 million guaranteed, and a meager $3 million in not likely to be earned incentives. There's also per game roster bonuses involved, which he is not likely to get paid quite yet because he didn't play in every game last year. So the cap hits break down like this. $2.3 million this year, $2.83 million in 2026, and then you make a decision. 3.63 in 2027, or you eat, $833K in dead money. Again, this is not expensive for a good special teamer and a backup safety, who I would like to play more anyway. The Jack Sanborn contract is also insanely cheap. 1 year, $1.5 million, $150K guaranteed. I think he wanted to go play for Matt Eberflus again. He is not a roster lock at that figure, but I think he's also kind of good, and I think he will make the team. But if the Cowboys don't like him, they can cut him with almost nothing to pay out. So what was the Cowboys' best free agency signing? If there is one, I suppose. I'm sure you can find one. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Let's go to Israel Mukuamu. The 1-year deal he signed technically is what is called the 4-year qualifier from the Cowboys, meaning he's played for 4 years. He qualifies for it. Essentially, it's another veteran salary benefit deal. He gets $1.75 million in cash with $500,000 guaranteed, but his cap hit is a meager $1.32. Again, that's backup money for a guy that might be your nickel corner come week 1. Special teams time. CJ Goodwin and another vet salary benefit deal. 1 year, $1.42. He's got very limited guaranteed figures, mostly because the Cowboys will probably do if they got to play some money games and roster numbers games, they can cut Goodwin and bring him back at essentially the same contract. His cap hit is $1.2 million in the end. Cowboys did re-sign other players to kind of benefit deals / ERFAs, etc. Brock Hoffman, Dakota Shepley make 1.1, but there's no guaranteed money, so they can cut Shepley at roster cut time and not lose any money. Will Greer makes 1.17. No guaranteed money there either. Darius Harris, 1.03. Wanye Thomas, Tyler Sweet, also at 1.03 million. It's ERFAs / vet minimums with no guaranteed money. So what does that mean moving forward? Again, the Cowboys have about $35 million in cap space. That does not account for the draft picks. However, only the top 51 players count in the offseason. They don't count all 90. That's not good for business in the NFL. The top 51 end up counting. So the true draft pick cap hit, because you spend a first-round pick, you're going to bump out the 51st player from a money perspective. It's around $6 million. And you're going to want to roll over some money as well, but you've got money to spend if you want to before you even extend Micah and save more cap space. But I suspect you will see the Cowboys roll over a big portion of that figure.